Hey guys, it's Miss Thiessen again. We're going to go over lesson 7 of the home finance unit. This is property taxes part 2. Okay, so homeowners pay property tax every year. This is something that they generally have to pay September, October of each year, and the cost depends on basically on multiple different things. So the value of the home, the value of the land, how new the home is, how old the home is, how well it's been kept, and these property taxes consist of municipal tax and education tax. And there's two different kinds of municipal tax that we'll talk about. There's a general municipal tax that's calculated with a formula, and then there's a local improvement tax, which is calculated based on what the government or what the municipality has decided to do in regards to improvements in that area, depending on which part of that property you own, or if that improvement is being made on or around your property or close to your property. So here are the equations that you need to know. Now, the general municipal tax has a very hard set equation. Basically what it is it's calculated like this. So the general municipal tax, I'll just abbreviate as GMT, is equal to the portioned assessment, which we learned how to do in the last lesson, learned how to calculate the portioned assessment. And you multiply that by the mill rate, which we also learned how to calculate last time. The mill rate divided by 1,000. Now the mill rate divided by 1,000 is just that decimal number. So we're converting back to that decimal that we originally found. So this is how the general municipal tax is calculated. For local improvement tax, this can be calculated in a number of different ways. So there's no real formula for this. There are multiple formulas that could or could not be applied depending on what's happening in that tax year. So this is calculated in multiple different ways, calculated in many different ways. So basically it's calculated per foot of frontage. So often this is how it's calculated. So I'm going to write down it's calculated per foot of frontage, and then I'll kind of explain what that means in a picture. So by frontage, people the government basically means, let's say this is your house and this is your yard. Here's your property, there's your yard, and here's a street on this side, and then this is someone else's yard and someone else's yard, and there's houses on those yards too. So here's your house, here's your driveway, and let's say the municipality decides they want to build a sidewalk in this area. So they're building a sidewalk right here through these properties. There's our sidewalk. Now, as you notice, the sidewalk's being built right over your property here. So this is what I mean by per foot of frontage. So if the local improvement is that they're building a sidewalk on your property, you are helping to pay for that sidewalk through your local improvement tax. And that's calculated per foot of frontage. Frontage meaning how much of this property is yours. Okay, so we'll do an example where that makes more sense with an actual dollar amount a little bit later on. So the municipal taxes, these two together, are equal to the general municipal tax plus the local improvement tax, LIT. Now you guys love that word probably. So GMT plus LIT, so the general municipal tax plus the local improvement tax is equal to the municipal tax. That's the total. I'm just adding them together. So you can see here is an example or a table, we'll call this table 12, local improvement costs for property tax purposes. So this would be specifically for the local improvement tax. So let's say, what does it say here? So boulevard construction or concrete sidewalk. So the concrete sidewalk, you would be paying $3.80 per foot of your property that it's been built on for 5 years. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's something that you have to pay to help pay for whatever amount of that sidewalk is being built on your property. So if you flip the page, we're actually going to take a look at an example here. And we'll need this chart later on, so just hang on to it for a second because we're going to need it for the example that we look at. So example 1 says a home has a total portioned assessment of $48,500. So look, it's been calculated for you already. That's really nice. You don't have to calculate the portioned assessment here. The frontage of this home is 50 feet. So we're told how much the frontage of the home is, 50 feet. That's going to help us calculate the local improvement tax in a minute when we figure out how much or what type of things they're building on this property. So the annual municipal tax rate is 23.435 mils. Now notice, remember, in our formula for GMT, we have a mill rate that goes right there. So we know where we can use that, where we know where we will be using this number. Their property taxes include local improvement tax for both boulevard construction. So here's one local improvement tax that we're going to be calculating, and lane paving. That's the other local improvement tax we're going to be calculating. And those two amounts are going to be based on the frontage, which is 50 feet, and the cost per frontage. So the cost per frontage foot, which we'll find from our chart. So let's calculate our general municipal tax first. And remember, we have a formula for that one. So I'm going to split my page up here. We're going to do our general municipal tax first. And remember, that is equal to the portioned assessment. I'm going to call it PA for short, portioned assessment. Remember, this formula is on the previous page, times the mill rate divided by 1,000. So let's rewrite that. It's going to be equal to the portioned assessment, which we're given, $48,500, times our mill rate, which is given to us, 23.435 mils, 23.435 mils divided by 1,000. So if you plug that into your calculator, you will get a total general municipal tax of $1,136.60. Good. Okay, so we've covered that one. Next is our local improvement tax. So I'm going to leave myself some space here. Local improvement tax. Now we've got two different things that are being improved. So we've got boulevard construction and lane paving. Okay, so let's do the boulevard construction first. So boulevard, let's calculate this one. Costs. So we've got, let's take a look at how much it costs to improve a boulevard or do boulevard construction from our sheet, from our table 12 here. So you look under boulevard construction, there it is. It's $3.60. Now don't worry about the 3-year term right now. We're calculating how much it's going to cost for this year alone. So we don't need to calculate all 3 years. We just need to calculate the cost for this 1 year that we're paying taxes. So you're kind of going to ignore this for now. This is just to tell you how many years in a row you're going to be paying that amount. So boulevard construction is $3.60 per foot. So we're going to write down our $3.60. And now, how many feet are we covering? Well, if you look back at the question, it says the frontage of this home is 50 feet. So we're going to multiply that by 50. So we're covering 50 feet for the boulevard cost. And that is equal to $180. So now we've calculated the boulevard cost for the local improvement tax. The last one is to calculate the lane paving. Okay, so if you take a look at your chart again and find lane paving on there, you'll see that lane paving is $9.42 per foot. So again, we're going to write down the dollar amount, $9.42, times the amount of frontage. So how many feet of frontage? Again, it's 50 feet, same amount. So our total cost there is $471. Now remember, the total municipal tax, we add our general municipal tax plus any of the local improvement taxes. So we're going to add them all together. We've got 3 here that we need to add. So we're going to add all these. So if we add them all up, we'll just add like this. We end up paying for our total municipal tax. And I know that this is a lot of labeling, but I really recommend labeling each section that you do, because when I'm looking at an assignment or something like that, it's going to be easier for me to see what you've done. So don't just write down a bunch of numbers, write down exactly what each of these numbers mean. So make sure you're labeling your work, okay? So our total municipal tax for the year would be $1,787.60. Good. So that covers 2 of the 3 taxes involved in paying for property tax. The last one is education tax. So the education tax consists of 3 different education taxes: provincial tax 1, provincial tax 2, and school division tax. So here's how it's calculated. Education tax is calculated like this. we have our portioned assessment. Again, we know how to calculate that. We learned that last time. And it's multiplied by the mill rate divided by 1,000. Now this might look just like the general municipal tax that we did before, but the mill rate for the education tax is going to be different than the mill rate for the general municipal tax. So our mill rate here for our general municipal tax was 23.435 mils. You're going to notice that it's different for education tax. So it's calculated the same way, but the mill rate's going to be different for education tax. So let's take a look at the next example. This is our last one for this section. It says, recall from example 1 that the home's total portioned assessment was $48,500 and the total municipal tax, we just calculated this number, was $1,787.60. So here's the education tax rate. It's 30.936 mils. It's a little bit higher than the general municipal tax rate. So calculate the education tax, and then we're going to total the tax bill. So we're going to add this to whatever education tax we calculate. So let's calculate the ed tax. So our ed tax here is equal to our portioned assessment. Again, I'm abbreviating. That means portioned assessment times our ed tax mill rate, different than our general municipal tax mill rate, divided by 1,000. So if we plug our numbers in there, our portioned assessment is the same as before because you're living on the same property, $48,500, times our education tax rate, which is 30.936 mils, divided by 1,000. So we end up with $1,500.40 for our ed tax. So that's our ed tax amount. So there is part 1 of our problem. Now it says we need to calculate the total tax bill. So our municipal taxes calculated from the last example was $1,787.60. The last thing we need to do is add the ed tax to that. So we're going to take our general municipal tax, $1,787.60. So this is our municipal tax, plus our education tax, which is $1,500.40. If you add those together, this is our total tax. So this is our total property tax. So our total property tax for this year would be $3,288. Exactly. So $3,288 is your property tax for the year. Now this might seem like a lot, but this is actually a pretty average amount of property tax that people pay if they're living in a home somewhere between $200,000 and maybe $400,000. This is usually what people are paying for property tax. More if there's been more local improvements, or if you're living in a place where the real estate is more expensive, then it's significantly more. Yeah, so that's how you calculate property tax. Thanks for watching.